Adventures Across Disney, My Journey to Win Over Every Princess. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 51. She bit her red lip and was silent for a long time. In the end, Elsa still stretched out a somewhat trembling hand. Slowly hold the letter in your hand. Tear the ceiling line on the top. Pulled out a blank piece of paper inside. Trembling his eyelashes slightly, he read it word by word. It has been confirmed that a war is going on in the kingdom of Heglin. Their king blocked the entire coastline so that all news could not come out. Even the fleets that enter the kingdom of Hegrin for commercial trade can only enter and exit. After a year of hard work, we have found an area that can be blocked by the sea line of the Hygrin kingdom, and we are already organizing people to prepare to sneak in. Please rest assured, Your Highness, we will definitely find out all the news inside the Hygrin kingdom. We'll do everything possible to find all the news about Mr. Xiao Wen. Please be patient. The most loyal soldier to you, Joseph Liu. After seeing the contents of this letter, Elsa breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. She didn't see the last thing she wanted. The message stated in the letter. Instead, there is a glimmer of hope. This is for Elsa. Enough already. Since a year and a half ago, Elsa sent someone to the kingdom of Hygrin to find out the news, but due to the long distance of the round trip, plus some unknown changes, as a result, no news came. She only from some grapevines vaguely knew that something seemed to have happened to the kingdom of Heglin. Others, nothing is known. In the time to come, Elsa once again sent several groups of people into the kingdom of Heglin. This time there was finally news. It should also be a matter of course. After Aisha saw the war in the kingdom of Hegrin and the coastline blockade, the thought in my heart that Xiao Wen was still alive. It's a little more temporary. Her hand touched her already somewhat cute chest. Pick up the milky white crystal pendant inside, rubbing Xiao Wen's name and the love on the side, but his eyes were fixed on the letter, and he couldn't take it away for a long time. When the sky rises slowly, when the birds outside the window chirp crisply, Elsa put the thoughts in her heart into the bottom of her heart, put the letter away, pick up the paperwork on the table, began to deal with the official affairs of the kingdom of Heglin. After a long time, Elsa put down her pen, rubbed his somewhat sore fingers, cleaned up the messy desktop, then put aside the processed paperwork. Then close your eyes and start fake sleep. Since last year, Elsa set out to take over some of the kingdom's affairs. As the first in line to the throne of the royal family, after the king's death, the king's rights should rightfully be taken over by her, and the obligations of the monarch will gradually transition to her. Wait another 3 years and Elsa will be 18. At that time, the succession ceremony was held. She is Her Majesty the righteous Queen of Arendelle. It is the only ruler in the entire vast territory of Arendelle. Elsa closed her eyes and slept. It didn't take long. A slight knock on the door sounded quietly behind it. Outside the gate of the government hall, there was a long tail sound. A crisp girly voice in a quirky tone. Elsa, my dear Highnessa, you have been away from me for a morning. Are you done with your official duties? We're going to go with Swain to the elder grandfathers in the afternoon to eat delicious moon green fruit. Don't you forget. Elsa in the government hall heard this voice. A faint smile hung at the corner of his mouth. She opened her big blue eyes. Lazy opening. Go call Swain. I'll come out right away. Okay, Swain and I are waiting for you in the restaurant. Bye. Anna outside the door after getting a satisfactory answer. A sweet smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. She lifted her long dress and danced her own dance. With the swaying of the skirt and the chest, the moon green pendant on her collarbone, it's also bouncing a beautiful rhythm. After a breeze blows, this beautiful silhouette exudes youthful atmosphere. Fluttering away from here, this scene exudes a youthful atmosphere. In the quiet and peaceful Arendelle, a scene like this is like a common thing. In every household, it's going on. It seems, it's so beautiful. But, in the distance from the kingdom of Arendelle, tens of thousands of miles away in the kingdom of Heglin, in a certain place full of gun smoke and flames, bodies are piled up on all sides. A place in the air that emits a foul smell and a scorched smell, but it will be all good. It's all shattered into a bubble. At the very top of the stacked corpse, standing one was holding a black gold spear, a man covered in monstrous flames. He was looking in the direction of the sea, silent. Episode 52. There are a lot of birds hovering above his head. It seems that he wants to get close to him, but did not dare to approach the flames on his body. I had to hover in the sky. It forms a magnificent landscape, and this only one who stands upright on the battlefield. It's Xiao Wen. In just 2 years, this battle with the kingdom of Heglin, it has deteriorated dramatically. The king no longer boils frogs warmly. Instead, he directly pulled out the whole card he had hidden in the secret. Not only the army suppressed their army, in terms of top combat power, there were also several more beings they had never seen before, under the crushing of forces that are more than one step above them. The 8 knights mastered by his grandfather, 2 knights have already perished in this battle, and there are 3 regiment commanders. It also completely died on the battlefield. Xiao Wen was ordered in danger. He took over the post of head of the 7th Order. This is the only one that still retains combat power, but the commander is dead, in the leaderless knightly order. It is precisely because of the emergence of Xiao Wen, the top combat power. Let the disadvantages become moderated, not so nervous. Originally in everyone's imagination, Xiao Wen even has the magic ability of fire, but in a short time, it is also impossible to become a top combat power and carry a big banner. But strangely, Xiao Wen in these 2 years. The fire elemental mana is growing so fast. It has exceeded the sum he has had for more than a decade. It seems that some kind of limitation is missing in the body. Let the fire element enter his body unscrupulously and be completely absorbed by him. And his physical fitness now. Ordinary people just take a knife and cut him. Without a little effort, even his skin could not be cut. Plus the inexplicable extra control of birds, and the ability to affinity animals. This allows Xiao Wen to have the basis of top-level combat power. There is also the anticipation of using animals to predict enemy profits. It's just that he is now. The ambush battle that is being experienced is extremely brutal. The other party used a special method, obscured the perception of birds. In a reconnaissance squad led by him, ambush on the way you must cross. When the Great War began, Xiao Wen was besieged by dozens of heavily armored knights wearing special crystals. These manpower are infinite, and each of them has a special talent, although not as magical and terrifying as magic. But individual combat power can already be regarded as a top-level existence. Take Carol as the weight criterion. Xiao Wen felt that these people could be singled out at will, but if there is a siege, a top expert like Carol has no way to deal with it except to escape. And the flame of Xiao Wen, it doesn't seem to cause much damage to these crystal armors. As a result, he could only get into hand-to-hand combat in the end. It's clear, this is a killing game specifically for him. It's just that Xiao Wen's growth rate. But they underestimated it. When Xiao Wen was defeated for a long time and was scarred, he was at some point. No longer control yourself after emotional outbursts. His eyes were red as blood, and he was completely caught in the madness brought by the magic of the fire element, the rich fire elemental magic in his body. At the moment when all control is released, it suddenly emitted endless flames that were several times thicker than before. Even the firmament in the sky, all dyed red at this moment. It was as if his flames had burned the clouds. At that moment, Charvan was armed with a special black and gold spear. In irrational madness, those crystal armor knights who will besiege him, kill them all one by one. After losing the siege of these knights, there are thousands of knights left in ambush, was also killed by Xiao Wen. Not a single living mouth was left in the vast sea of corpses. At this time, Xiao Wen felt a little tired. His vision retracted from the direction of looking at the sea, although over there, have the places he most wants to go, but right now, he can't go yet. Only wait for the war to end completely. It was time for him to leave with confidence. Xiao Wen was on a hill of corpses. First waved his hand at the sky, let the birds all disperse, then slowly gathered the flames on his body in the air, form a huge web of fire. Immediately, he jumped off the pile of corpses. To those comrades who have died on the battlefield, a deep bow, then turn around, left hand raised, a crisp snap of his fingers. Snap. Suddenly, that huge web of fire in the sky, then it fell abruptly with a blazing temperature, shroud the entire battlefield in it. That ultimate flame, falling on each corpse, it burned with fierce flames. In the passage of time, the body will turn into ashes, either float into the sky or fall into the earth. In the end, the dust returned to the earth, and all went to God. Episode 53. Xiao Wen strolled away in the sea of fire. But in my heart, I was thinking about the sinister guy of the king. What big tricks are still hiding? If it is a hidden traitor in the army, or maybe these are wearing armor. Knights who have become gray. It's his last whole card. That won't take a few years. Shaven would have completely dragged him off his throne, in front of everyone, cut off his head. However, the crystal armor that those people were wearing, it can actually resist the burning of his flames. It's a good piece of equipment. Xiao Wen pondered. Go back and let people pick it up and study it. If only the knight in this armor came twice as much. Maybe he'll really explain it here. However, judging from today's lineup, the king's side has already laid down a ruthless hand. I want to gather so many knights with their own natural force again. Fear is also not an easy task, but just in case of course it's best. When the research is finished, these equipment can also bring some benefits to the members of their own order. Why not? Xiao Wen walked out of the canyon trembling. Although the injuries on his body are all traumatic, but the scars still made him gasp in pain, especially above the ass. I don't know which bastard turned into ash. Poke a hole in him, it hurts to death. Horses stationed around, the frightened have long been gone. Xiao Wen covered his butt and walked for more than 2 hours, before finally returning to the barracks. This time, the scars on his body were already stammering. It's just that my butt still hurts a little. The way he was covered in blood had already been taken for granted. Just a little tired, helped by the knights to sit down, Xiao Wen felt that he had just finished a mad war. It's time to take a break. At this time, a blue bird flew above Xiao Wen's head. The twitter seemed to be telling something. Xiao Wen listened, his eyes were a little dim. He sighed, then he commanded to the knights. Go, get Dick up, he's a traitor. Saying that, Xiao Wen shook his head and sighed. I didn't expect it to be him. The original surveillance was just in case, and I didn't expect it to be him. This kindest and most humble knight. It's really unseemly, you said. Will he have any bitterness? The deputy regiment commander on the side shook his head with a wry smile and said softly, Commander, whether there is bitterness or not, we must understand, he said. In this knight order that we protect with our lives, there is a traitor, and there will always be only one end. Xiao Wen let out a turbid breath, looked at the sky, and muttered, yes. His life must be used to pay tribute to the warriors who died because of him. Let him go to hell. make good atonement. After a long silence, Xiaowen instructed to catch the traitor and go to pick up the equipment. With exhaustion, I plan to go and rest for a while. Restoring mental and physical strength first is what he should do now. Xiaowen stood up. Your feet haven't taken the first step yet. He suddenly raised his head and stared at the sky with dead eyes. Bang! Bang bang bang. In the distant sky, an urgent call for help. Suddenly, it exploded in the north. And that place, it is the 3rd Silver Armor Knights, the battlefield where Carol is. Xiaowen looked solemn, and his sleepiness was gone. He stood up abruptly and said quickly to the deputy regiment commander on the side, gather all the members of the knights in battle, stay behind for 3% of the forces, and the rest of them immediately set off in full gear. After that, Xiaowen stepped onto the nearest white horse. Without any hesitation, he covered his aching butt and rushed away in the direction of the signal. It followed in less than 10 minutes. Bang bang. In the barracks of the 7th Vulcan Knights, where Xiaowen was located, tens of thousands of members of the order were dressed in armor, armed with spears and blades, riding war horses, raising smoke and dust, galloping towards the battlefield. So, another upcoming battle. Just when Hakuba reached the battlefield, the moment Xiaowen joined with the monstrous flame, quietly turn on. This time, I don't know how many more people to die again. Time, day after day, year after year of war and killing, with that seemingly slow, but inadvertently and quickly. In the blink of an eye, 3 years passed. Calculate the time. This is the 5th year since Charvan left Arendelle, and at this time, the royal palace of Arendelle, in the government office, Elsa, who was about to be 18, sat quietly in her chair. On the table in front of her, 3 red letters engraved with violet motifs are placed on display, and a crumpled and tattered envelope. Elsa's beautiful big eyes blinked. There was an inexplicable brilliance in his eyes. Episode 54. These letters. It was the only one that had come back from the kingdom of Hygrin in the past 3 years. There are not many words written on the envelope, but every one, they all represent the deepest hope in her Elsa's heart. Elsa slowly opened the letter. Pick up the letter paper that already has some traces of age inside. Looked up again. Your Highness, we have entered the kingdom of Heglin, and there is indeed a civil war here. And the 2 sides of the war are the king of this country and the Duke of Shawel. The reason for the civil war, we still don't know, but Duke Xavier's side is obviously at a disadvantage, but it can still be sustained. We dare not get too close to the war zone, and we have not yet found news of Mr. Xiaowen. But rest assured, if Mr. Xiaowen is really in the kingdom of Heglin, then we will definitely find him. Joseph Liu. Elsa read the letter, which had arrived 3 years ago. Eyes shimmered slightly. Fold it with your hands. It was put back into the envelope. Then picked up the second letter and continued to read. Your Highness, we have heard from him. It turns out that Mr. Xiaowen is the rumored leader of the 7th Vulcan Knight Order in the Helgrin Kingdom, and the existence who is revered as the god of fire and war is Xiaowen. Mr. Xiaowen has become the first person in General Xiaowel's 8 top knights, and the 7th Vulcan Knights led by him are also recognized as the strongest knights in the Hygrin Kingdom. The war situation began to slowly reverse under the power of the fire god. I believe that it will not be long before this war will be completely ended in Xiaowen's hands. Joseph Liu. Looking at this second letter, Elsa stretched out her slender jade hand, stroking every word on it. Whenever she saw the letter, in my mind, I will think that Xiaowen, who used to be shorter than himself, is already a general of a country at this time. That majestic look always fantasized in Elsa's mind, but he was always dissatisfied, feeling that Xiaowen must be more handsome than he thought. Elsa put the second letter on the stationery again. I looked at the third letter, which had only been sent a few days ago, but I didn't open it again. Instead, he picked up the envelope on the side, which was inexplicably dropped at the gate of the castle 2 years ago and was sent by the soldiers. The envelope was unsigned, scribbled, and even stained with blood, but Elsa knew that it was Xiaowen's handwriting. She carefully took it apart. Take out the letter inside. There was a soft light in his eyes, and he slowly looked up. Alas! This is the 285th letter I wrote, and I don't know if you will receive it. I don't expect anyone to break through the blockade and send you a letter. I don't expect. Just let the birds fly. Whether you can send it to Arendelle, it's all up to luck. Anyway, I'm still alive, so be it. Wait for me to come back. After a long time, Elsa put away the letter. The big twinkling azure eyes. It seems that some kind of decision has been made, mumbled in his mouth. I can only wait 3 days later. I can't let Anna know. Elsa put the 4 letters in a drawer. Looking at the Huan drizzle outside the window, the seedlings that have just emerged young leaves. The soft light in the eyes gradually disappeared. The light smile at the corner of his mouth also turned into calm. Turning his head, he dragged the ice blue, snow-white long dress and walked out. 3 days later, it was the day she accepted the royal authority of Arendelle. It was also the moment when she truly became the queen of the kingdom of Arendelle. Elsa has a lot of things to deal with right now. Basically, after 3 days, you need to personally participate in some layouts and processes. After spending these few days, she will be relaxed. After Aisha left the government office, this room should have been silent, but soon after, there was a slight click sound. Soon, the gate was opened through a crack. A small head poked in. I was carefully looking at everything inside. After finding out that no one was a slender and curvy young girl, so he slipped in through the crack of the door. She wore long silky chestnut hair, fair skin with a shiny glow, with cunning and anticipation in his eyes. This girl is none other than someone else. It is Princess Anna, who has turned 16 years old. Anna squeezed into the crack in the door. I touched my chest, which was pressed and hurt. Then the door is gently closed. Turning his head, he came to Elsa's desk and swaggered up. She spun around happily in her chair a few times. Then he began to look for something very skillfully. Watch the action. As if this is not the first time this has been done. It didn't take long. From a drawer, she pulled out 3 red letters engraved with violet motifs. Anna's eyes lit up, looking at the envelope at the top, which was obviously newer. Then stretched out his slender fingers and slowly held the letter in his hand. I took out the paper inside and read it carefully. Episode 55. Your Majesty, here in advance congratulations on your smooth succession to the throne. The fighting is becoming more and more intense, and it has reached the final stage of white heat. There was smoke and war everywhere, corpses and blood. There are few places of peace in the kingdom of Heglin. As long as there are people, there will be war. When we look back at the kingdom of Arendelle, we realize how lucky our country is. It is our honor to meet such a great king as your father. Let's get down to business. We guess that the Heikran kingdom should start a great battle with Xiaowen in this month or two. But the situation may change a little. Out of nowhere, the king found a forbidden magic that turned his soldiers into immortal and rotten monsters. The 8 knights under Duke Xiao Wire have gathered into a whole knight legion at this time, named Dawning Knight Legion, and the commander is the fire god Xiao Wen. We don't dare to step into the battlefield. We only know that the Dawning Legion seems to be in a stalemate with the monsters under the king now. Both sides are assembling all their forces and putting their forces on the wilderness of the northwestern frontier of Heiklan. We can't judge when the war will start in the end and what the outcome will be. We can only hope that Xiaowen can achieve victory. In addition, Joseph was affected by the war and has been injured and left the kingdom of Heglin. I hope Her Majesty knows about it. Skedlu. After Anna read the letter, read it carefully several times again. Finally, he bit his lip and put the page into the envelope, stacked neatly, and restored everything to its original state. After doing that, Anna had a hint of worry in her eyes, quietly left the government affairs hall. She came to a garden, sit down on one of the benches inside. She propped her cheeks. The pupils inside the big eyes spin around. It seems to be thinking about something. After a long time, Anna suddenly muttered, 3 days later, it will be Elsa's succession to the throne. Then wait until 3 days later. Well, to hide from Elsa, it can't be discovered by her. On this day, both Anna and Elsa made up their minds. It's just that as a biological sister, both had the same idea. That is after making up your mind. The first reaction is to hide from the other party. It can also be regarded as a kind of spiritual rhinoceros. There are 2 sides to the story. In the kingdom of Herglen, which is incomparably far from Arendelle, Xiaowen was in the newly built ring, singled out with a certain head of the knights. This year, Xiaowen is 17 years old and has reached a height of 1.83 meters. The physique is slender and toned, and the muscles are even and fluid, coupled with his characteristic black hair and black eyes. On a handsome basis, it adds a sense of mystery. Xiaowen at this time, fighting Carol in the ring. The crackling sound of the fist to the flesh, and the dull sound of each impact, all made this pair, the war into an extreme violent aesthetic. Let people look at the past, and the most primitive beast instinct will rise in their hearts. I can't wait to rush up and fight and enjoy the most extreme outbreak. It's just a pity. This kind of treatment is also only eligible for a few heads of the knights. Others go up, and none of them can carry 3 moves. Half an hour later, Carol in the battle with Charvan. The last few steps of the stagger. Then he fell to the ground with a bang, panting, but there was no strength at all. Xiaowen was on the side. Qing Feng turned his hand behind his back indifferently. Looking at the sky, Langxing said, "It seems that your endurance training needs to be strengthened a little more. Didn't you say that you fought with your girls in bed for more than half an hour? Why can't you even last half an hour when it's time to fight? I can't be laughed to death by your tigress this time." After saying this, Xiaowen felt extremely comfortable in his heart, but it didn't take long for him to restrain his unbeaten expression. Stepped forward and helped Carol up, helped him to rest under the ring. Xiaowen patted Carol, who couldn't even speak, jokingly said, "Didn't you say okay? Is there a combat power that can make all the nuns in the convent unable to get out of bed? It seems that you are a bit of a bull blowing." Episode 56. Carol regained some strength. With a wave of his big hand, he slapped Xiaowen's hand away. He gasped, "Didn't say angrily? Who can compare with you, monster? A fight with you? I'll go to the convent for 10 days to come out. I'm afraid I'm not so tired. You kid has grown up too fast. It feels like I was hanging you to beat you at the last moment. And now it's suddenly the other way around. What a jealous talent." Saying that, Carol suddenly pointed to several other people on the stage. Loud voice, "Hey, you old guys don't want to run. Xiaowen, go up and beat them up for me. You can't just take care of me, The rest of the knights heard this. Without saying a word, he turned around and jumped from the ring, watching the battle. When nothing happened, he left the place in 3 or 2 steps. Seeing this scene, Carol is angry. Just now, these bastards encouraged him to go up and fight. As a result, the fight is now fought. But the man ran. It's really excessive. Xiaowen saw these guys running so fast, didn't stop either. Instead, he sat down next to Carol. He looked at the sky for a while before he spoke. This war is going on longer than we thought. Your children are all 3 years old this year, right? It is said that the sister-in-law seems to be pregnant with another child. Carol leaned back against the tree. A smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and he said with some pride, "Of course it's true. Probably when this war is over, when my child is born." Xiaowen nodded enviously. He's been there for 5 whole years. I haven't seen the 2 little princesses in my heart. Now think about it. Elsa should have been 18 years old, ready to inherit the throne, right? Anna was also 16 years old. It's time to get married. I don't know if these 2 sisters remember themselves. Also, the stupid prince who will appear at the succession ceremony. Will he kidnap his little Anna? Xiaowen showed a sad look on his face. If not for the imminent war, he really wanted to come back to Arendelle. Go meet his 2 little princesses. Xiaowen shook his head and said softly in his mouth, "This big war should be our last war. Even if the king has these evil arts, in front of our dawning legion, he can still win the final victory. I only hope that within 2 months, this war will be completely over. Then I can catch the tail of the year and go back to Arendelle to meet them. I don't want them not to resent me. I just want them not to forget me." Xiaowen said at the end. A wry smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "There is nothing in my heart that I want to brag about." He stood up, back in the ring. Facing the crowd in the audience, he shouted directly, "Free combination, a group of 20, all come to practice with me. It's about to be a decisive battle. Let me see what results you have achieved." Not long after Xiaowen's voice fell, the sensation began under the ring. After a while, there were densely packed knights lining up and standing under the ring. They began to automatically split into squads of 20 people. Then they walked into the ring in turn, and their legion leader Xiaowen began to practice against each other. In one fist after another into the flesh. A multiplayer battle with 1,000. Hit again. And at the southernmost point of this wasteland, there, too, a huge military camp was stationed. In the very center of the barracks, there is a huge handsome tent. At this time, in this handsome tent, there are already about a dozen people sitting. Handsome tent, the one sitting in the deepest part. It is none other than the current king of the current kingdom of Heglin, Haisa. Behind him, standing were 3 cloaks in black, but it looks like a weird existence. In the silent handsome tent, Haisa looked at everyone present. Shinshin said, "Are the arrangements all done?" Haisa's voice fell. The first man sitting to his left stood up and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, the mother stone for making ice crystal armor is already on its way back. The failed ambush we had against Xiaowen 3 years ago was obviously underestimating the flame power of this monster. According to the information from our spies, these ice crystal armors actually did not suffer much damage after experiencing that battle. When the mother stones in the stronger ice crystal armor mine are transported back, and then attack in groups, then our chances of winning can already exceed 70%. Here the odds of winning 70%. King Haisa frowned, feeling a little sullen in his heart. 70% probability, which means there is still a 30% chance that they will fail. And the consequence of failure is the destruction of the country. Episode 57. Haisa waved his hand, signaled the person who spoke to sit down. Turning his gaze forward to the man in the corner, he asked again, "Egu, what happened to what I asked you to do?" In the corner, Egu stood up and replied equally respectfully, "Your Majesty, we have found the place where the water elemental spirit sleeps, and we have awakened it. Just wait for the big battle to come, you can lure it over and give Xiaowen the final blow." Haisa stared into Egu's eyes, asked word by word, "Are you sure that the water elemental spirit must be attacking Xiaowen, not our army?" Egu nodded and said affirmatively. Water and fire are born together. This is the rule created by the spirit of nature. Moreover, the spirit of the water elemental that has fallen into a deep sleep has been observed in our decades to find it in a state of violent deconditioning. As long as it feels Xiaowen's magical aura, then this monster will definitely be regarded as the first target by the water elemental spirit. As long as Xiaowen dies, then the rest of the others, we don't have to worry about them turning over. Without the flames that Xiaowen can scorch everything, with the army of the undead, victory is already doomed. After getting Egu's affirmative answer, Haisa nodded and waved for him to sit down. He didn't ask if after Xiaowen's death, the second target of the water elemental spirit's attack would be their army. None of this matters. As long as Xiaowen died, all the troops present were gone, and it was not unbearable. After everyone discussed some details and plans, one after another, they walked out of the king's tent. Until everyone is gone, Haisa slowly stood up and looked at the strategic map on the wall with flickering eyes. After a long time, he suddenly spoke up. "If this war fails, I can promise you to turn everyone in the kingdom of Hegrin into rotten undead. And I still want to be their king and rule this country." Behind him, the 3 men in black fell silent for a moment. Then came a husky and piercing, emotionless voice. "Your Majesty, we can only guarantee that after the defeat of the war, all those who drink our holy water will become eternal and immortal living dead, and you will still be the emperor in charge of them. But if these living dead can't kill Xiao Wen, or expel him away, then there's nothing we can do." After hearing the words of the black-robed man, King Haisa was silent for a while, then suddenly covered his face and chuckled, and gradually laughed maniacally. He turned around abruptly and roared, "Then let everyone be buried with me. Xiao Wen, this monster, don't think of anything." A crazy roar echoed in the handsome tent, but no one responded to his words. The other side, before the two armies fought, there is always an eerily quiet atmosphere. This time down, Xiao Wen felt that this was his past 5 years. First time relaxed for such a long time. Dusk hour, Xiao Wen after abusing his subordinates. Looking at the people lying on the ground, rolling in pain, he nodded in satisfaction. Backhand, walking at a pace that only the 6 relatives of the court commander do not recognize, slowly left here. At night, in a lit tent, Xiao Wen sat on the side of the main table, and the one at the head, it is Charvan's grandfather, the Duke of Charvi. In this handsome tent, except for the 2 of them, the rest are the Shasters, as well as some newly appointed generals, and the surviving commanders of the 8 knights. The Lord sits first. Xiao Wen deservedly sat in the second position. At this time, they were also discussing various plans and details before Armageddon. Unlike the king's side, the atmosphere on Xiao Wen's side was much more relaxed. The crowd spoke freely and had something to say. "Tell all the accidents and plans you can think of." Everyone talked until late at night. Finally, the main problem was put in front of me. All problems can be solved, but on the most important issues, no one can think of a solution. This question, it is about Xiao Wen's personal combat strength. Before the Legion of the Living Dead was born, their 8 knights still have the power to fight. No need to rely on Xiao Wen's help. But it's different now. The hard-to-kill trait of the army of the living dead. When they are punished against the enemy, the price they pay will be several times heavier. Only Xiao Wen's fiery power could burn all these living dead without giving them the slightest chance to get up again. Moreover, the number of knights in their legion was almost half less than the king's army. Now you have to face the enhanced army of the living dead. It's really hard to beat them. It can be said, by the lethality of the living dead alone, the strength and talent of all the people in the Dawning Legion were not as high as Xiao Wen's monstrous flame damage. Episode 58. Only by Xiao Wen alone, let their combat power rise by more than 1 step. From the defeat of the king's army, barely resisted, until now, he has risen up to counterattack and killed back. Almost all of it is the credit of Xiao Wen alone, the name of the Vulcan that came out of the battlefield. It's not just lip service. Now the question is, if the king's side makes arrangements, after the start of the war, if Xiao Wen was restrained, so that he was unable to support, then their Dawn Legion will resist very hard. Even if Xiao Wen can't carry out in time, support the encirclement and suppression of the living dead, they can cause huge casualties in a short period of time, thus quickly falling into defeat. Now everyone is thinking about the countermeasures. It's how to prevent this. Although Xiao Wen's current combat power is from the current point of view, no existence can resist him. But if the opponent's top combat power don't die before the servant, Xiao Wen will indeed be entangled for a long time. But there is no point in thinking about it that way, because if those masters all go to deal with Xiao Wen, then their Dawning Legion can concentrate on setting up the formation and concentrating on fighting the living dead. It will not fall into defeat in a short period of time and can resist for a long time. Everyone thought about it, but they couldn't think of any way the king could use to contain Xiao Wen. But this is the case. They had to think again, because since the king dares to go to war, that's with his character, will not do anything uncertain. Definitely just what they didn't expect. Everyone pondered in the middle of the night, and there was nothing to come up with. In the end, they could only scratch their heads, return to their tents, and continue to think bitterly. Xiao Wen returned to his tent and lay on the bed, took the brown box on the side. I opened it and took out 2 beautiful pieces of jewelry inside. This is after Xiao Wen left the merchant ship. The only thing you carry, he is also in this country. 2 of the most precious items. Xiao Wen watched quietly, but in my heart, I was thinking, Elsa is also 18 years old now. I don't know if her enthronement ceremony has started. If it is held in a few months, then he may still have time to rush back and witness the birth of this Ice Queen. After thoughts and fantasies, Xiao Wen put the jewelry back into the box, then lay on the bed, slowly closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. And 3 days later, in the kingdom of Arendelle, a lively atmosphere that is as happy as a festival. It can be found throughout the royal city of Arendelle. The streets are lit up. Every pedestrian passing by had an excited smile on their face. The solemn and lofty music has long echoed in all directions. The view comes to the royal palace castle. At this time, in the reception hall, hundreds of people had gathered to congratulate them. These nobles from all over the world will be witnessed here. Kingdom of Arendelle, the enthronement ceremony of the new Queen Elsa. Available on this day, Elsa, who was about to be crowned king, had not yet appeared in the hall. She had just returned from the harbor. Now I am changing my clothes in the dormitory. Elsa picked around in the closet. All kinds of noble dresses were held in her hands, but I was not satisfied, until finally, she found an ice blue evening dress after that. Only then nodded slightly satisfied and took it out. Take off your white coat. Her delicate figure was revealed. Elsa caressed her body. Look at yourself, that has become more mature and seductive. But in my heart, I thought of this guy Xiaowen. His first kiss. It has long been unknown how many years ago. Was deceived by Xiaowen. What Elsa was thinking was, that back on your own body. Those many firsts that have never been developed. Shouldn't it be kept too? Let that guy enjoy it? Thinking about these shameful things, Elsa's noble and cold face, I couldn't help but show a hint of pink red. She quickly threw these bold ideas out of her mind, picked up the evening dress and put it on his delicate body. After the palace maid came in to get dressed, Elsa pushed open the door, with the icy steps of Lord Queen, pacing towards the reception hall. And at this time, Princess Anna of Arendelle, nor is it in the castle. She had also just returned from the port, now standing on the shore of the lake in the royal city, biting his lip and slanting his big eyes, staring at the man in front of her, introducing himself in front of her. Oh. It turns out that you are the Princess of Arendelle. Ahem. Officially, my name is Hans, the 12th prince of your neighboring island kingdom of Snotler. It is a pleasure to meet you, beautiful Princess Anna. Episode 59. Anna looked at the man who introduced himself in front of her. The contempt and disgust on his face passed. She didn't have any expression, just said formulaically, "Oh, welcome to the kingdom of Arendelle. I hope you will abide by the law. Goodbye." Say it. Anna was like hiding from a god. Turn around and go. I didn't have the slightest intention of saying more. This man, just riding a white horse, gentle and elegant, walking on the streets of the royal city. He smiled at everyone, and greeted cordially. Anna returning from the port, seeing this act, called Hans. Just in the beginning, I also think the other party is quite polite, but when passing through an alley, a beggar grabbed his trouser leg, and then this man named Hans. His face changed instantly. He glanced around and saw that there was no one else. Kicking away the beggar, cursing and cursing, he mounted the white horse and flew away. Anna is in the back corner. I saw this scene completely. She didn't understand why a person would have such an extreme two faces. Can't figure out Anna. After going up to help heal the beggar, I don't think about it anymore. I only think that the person just now can really disguise. I don't know how many people will be deceived by him. But what Anna didn't expect was, while wandering around the lake, I was actually recognized by the other party. Looking at his sincere expression, Anna was disgusted in her heart. I didn't expect that this kind of person on the other side was actually a different prince. I really don't know how their parents taught him. Anna walked extremely fast, and when she was still complaining in her heart, she left Hans behind. Until you can't see the other party, Anna's steps slowed down, start humming the song, leisurely walked back in the direction of the castle, and Hans by the lake. The sincere smile on his mouth has disappeared. The look was gloomy. I don't know what I'm thinking. However, these are for Anna. It's nothing that happened to this little episode. She returned to the castle and began to dress up, changed into a beautiful little dress. An hour later, inside the royal palace castle, when each king succeeds to the throne, will come to the royal sea. At this time, the coronation ceremony had already begun. Under the papacy stage, a blue-purple carpet was laid out. On both sides sat quietly with aristocratic visitors. On the stage, the priest was still reciting the declaration of succession to the throne. Aisha stood next to the priest, dragging an exaggerated ice blue long dress nearly 3 meters long, waiting for the end of the priest's reading, and less than a meter next to her, Anna also wore a light green princess dress, with a smile in his eyes. Look at this solemn and sacred scene. After the priest read the glorious history of Arendelle, pick up a small golden crown from the box, solemnly stepped forward and, under the gaze of everyone, will be encrusted with a crown of precious stones, worn on Elsa's head. Then the priest turned again. On the table on the side, he picked up a delicate wooden box, came to Elsa, and said softly, "Your Majesty, please take the symbol of royal authority in Arendelle and let them crown you." Elsa nodded, slowly stretched out his slender fingers. The left hand picks up the delicate scepter inside the box. The right hand holds up the king power ball inside. 2 symbols of imperial power emitting dazzling golden light. Just like that, it was held by Elsa in her hands. Unlike the original play, at this moment, Elsa didn't wear gloves on her hands. Instead, just picked them up, slowly turned around and faced everyone. The priest also solemnly spoke at this time. Today Princess Elsa will be crowned king. She will be endowed with supreme authority and power. May God bless Queen Elsa of Arendelle. After Langsheng said the last sentence, everyone stood up. The mouth is shouting excitedly, "May God bless Queen Elsa of Arendelle. Long live the queen." At this moment, Aisha was crowned king and became the only recognized monarch in the kingdom of Arendelle. However, behind this exciting atmosphere, Elsa's brows did furrow slightly. She felt that time passed a little slowly. If you can, Elsa really wanted to wrap up all her schedule for the day as soon as possible. Anna on the side stepped forward, take Elsa's arm, looking at the excited crowd in the audience, whispered in her ear, "My Majesty, how do you feel?" Elsa pouted and said in a faint voice, "It's so boring, I really want to end early." Anna rolled her eyes and asked again. The tradition of a new king visiting a neighboring country is usually a year later. Are you sure you will leave tomorrow? Elsa blinked her eyes and whispered, "Actually, I'm going to leave tonight. Go out for a while, and when the domestic heat completely stops, I will come back." "Why, are you going with me?" Welcome yo. Episode 60. Anna's big eyes also blinked a few times, then shook his head slightly and refused. Although I also want to go, as an adult princess, I can't follow the queen, which is not in line with the rules. Elsa had a smile in her eyes, shrugging his shoulders, helplessly saying, well, it won't take long anyway. After the two determined each other's whereabouts, all tacitly shifted this topic. He began to whisper something else. After a long time, when the coronation ceremony was over and everyone got up, the news that Elsa has become queen, it began to spread in various ways to the ears of every citizen of Arendelle. In the evening, after this banquet, Elsa's duties today are completed. This grand feast will be held for 18 consecutive days. As a king, but Elsa only had to show up on the first day, and she didn't have to worry about anything else. When it was completely dark, Elsa was in the palace affairs room, after instructing all the ministers about the latest matter. I couldn't wait to come to the North Sea estuary in Arendelle, say goodbye to Anna at the port. Elsa then stepped on the royal ship, waved goodbye to Anna, who was wiping her tears below. This atmosphere looked a little sad for a while. It's also a little depressing, and until Elsa's ship gradually disappeared into the port, Anna, who was still sobbing with tears. The action is sudden. I saw Anna blink her eyes, smoked a little nose that was a little itchy. Then he threw out a garlic in the palm of his hand silently. Anna glanced at a slightly smaller royal ship docked on the other side of the harbor. The cunning in his eyes was in the astonished eyes of the surrounding masses. Carrying a long floral dress, pedaling with small broken steps, as soon as he slipped through the smoke, he got on the ship. With the sound of the ship starting, after a while, this is also a luxury ship dedicated to the royal family. It buzzed and started. After a while, he left the port. At this time, the maid who had been waiting for Anna ran to the port, came to the interior minister who temporarily took over the power and whispered. Princess Anna said that she also wants to travel with Her Majesty to various countries. It's just in the name of a person, and it won't be with Your Majesty. The Home Secretary heard this answer. I can only smile bitterly. For a while, I didn't know what to say, but if it is to follow His Majesty, that shouldn't be a problem. He turned around and said helplessly to the others behind him, since Princess Anna wants to go, let her go. As long as it is not to visit in a royal capacity, then there is no problem. For them, this answer from the maid is reasonable. This is not a big deal after all. Just turn around and tell Your Majesty. Finally, whether to punish the princess. It is also up to Her Majesty the Queen to decide. It's late at night. Above the vast sea, royal ships dedicated to the Emperor of Arendelle did not sail in the direction of the neighboring country. Rather, it faces north, with the fastest sailing speed, gradually moved away from the kingdom of Arendelle. 2 hours later, a ship also emblazoned with the royal coat of arms of Arendelle. The speed was slightly slower through the area. It's like a ghost, silently followed the royal ships ahead. And ahead, on the Expeditionary 2, Elsa stood at the bow of the boat, looking out at the dark night. In those big eyes that exude a little starlight, as if through endless darkness, fell in the far north. In that place, there is a kingdom where war is taking place. It is also the purpose of Elsa's trip. She was about to think that Xiaowen was crazy, even when Elsa understood what male love is. Occasionally in the dead of night, she always gets her hands wet, thinking about Xiaowen's current appearance, fall asleep with false contentment. To go to the kingdom of Haegron, the idea of seeing the lover. A few days earlier, after that third letter arrived, it had already been decided in Elsa's heart, since the moment of Armageddon has come, then she must also go over to help Xiaowen and win this war. Elsa now inherits the throne. Her will has also been quietly made. If something happens to you, the next queen of Arendelle will be Anna. She can also rest assured to help Xiaowen. Don't worry about anything behind you. Although this decision is somewhat selfish, but hasn't Anna already blurred her memory of Xiaowen? If you can't bring Xiaowen back, it was a wrong decision to let Anna go to such a dangerous country together. Episode 61. Thinking about things, Elsa suddenly stretched out her hand. A cold aura that exuded starlight gradually condensed in the palm of his hand. Gradually, a small tornado appeared, spinning obediently in her hand. Elsa has not fully used her power so far, and since he knew that Xiaowen also had magic, the inferiority in Elsa's heart, long gone, without a trace. After all these years of sadness and strength, she has been able to control her ice magic well and not let it hurt others. Therefore, how much power she can burst out of her current self, even Elsa herself does not know. However, Elsa firmly believed in her heart that she would definitely be able to help Xiaowen this time. It's not just the queen's confidence, it is also her confidence in the powerful power of her ice and snow magic. When Elsa was looking into the distance, on another royal ship behind her, Anna was also standing on the deck. His eyes looked at the country in the distance. The mood in her big eyes was different from Elsa's. She came with all kinds of fantasies and hopes. Due to the influence of blurred memory, Anna has many memories of Xiaowen so far. She only knows that the other party is her very important person, a very, very important person. It's the kind of thing you want to marry in this life. The one to marry will definitely be the other party's kind of person. What Anna fantasizes about now is, when she first saw Xiaowen, can you recognize him? Or the first time the two met? Will Xiaowen come up and give himself a kiss of true love? Now Anna is 16 years old. A lot of shame stuff. She also knows everything. For true love after the kiss. What else will happen to exciting and unforgettable? Anna said she was looking forward to it. That's it, one big and one small, two ships. Without knowing each other, the group sailed to the kingdom of Heglin. Yu Qianli went to send warmth. Time passes slowly. A month and a half later, in the kingdom of Heglin, the war has officially begun. The final plan of Xiaowen's side is to start the war in advance. At a time when the king's army was not fully prepared, suddenly start a full-scale war. Although the pre-war integration of the dawning army will take about half a month. But even if you wait for half a month, in fact, the effect that can be exerted is not very large. As long as Xiaowen is there, their combat power will not be greatly affected. I have to say that this decision is very correct. After Charvan went to start the war in the way of the famous Blitzkrieg in reality, the king's army simply did not have much time to react. It can only be withstood by the core of the living dead who step forward, then let the rear army begin to quickly integrate and assemble. On the battlefield, at this time, Xiaowen did not care about their assembly. After burning the core of the living dead with monstrous flames, he didn't have any delays. Immediately killed the handsome tent in the center. He still understands the truth that the thief captures the king first. If you can take down the king's head in the first place, then the war is almost over. It's just a pity. When it was less than a few hundred meters away from the most central marshal's tent, Xiaowen was intercepted and could not advance any further. The group of people he is facing now, much like those knights wearing ice crystal armor a few years ago, they are also heavy armor made with special crystals. But the crystal is darker and more resistant to his flames. You know, the current Xiaowen has long been very different from a few years ago. The fire elemental magic in his body had changed qualitatively compared to a few years ago. But now, facing this group of people is almost no different from when they were ambushed. The only thing to be thankful for, the number of these ice crystal heavy armor knights who besieged him was not very large. It seems that due to the early launch of the war, as a result, on the king's side, not much of this armor was made. There were even a small half of the people who besieged him. The ice crystal heavy armor on his body is still just a newly polished prototype. At a glance, it looks like a blank, ugly no. Xiaowen did not fall into a state of rage during this siege. Although the ice crystal heavy armor can resist his flames, but Xiaowen has been tempered by war and grown in physical strength over the years. It has long been possessed to be able to win the first place without relying on magic. If the flames don't work, then go up and beat them up. One punch hammer does not die, then 2 punches and 3 punches until you die. With the momentum of the Vietnam War and the more courageous, Xiaowen moved deeper and deeper forward at an extremely slow speed. Almost every period of time, he would kill 1 or 2 knights. At this rate, it won't be long before he can kill all the ice-armored knights who stand in his way. Episode 62. Outside the tent of the handsome man ahead, King Higrain, Haisa, gasped heavily. His eyes were red as he looked at the scene of Xiaowen's battle in front of him. He didn't expect it. The other side dared to take the lead in waging war? In their plan, wait up to another month. It is possible to make all the mother stone in the cryocrystal or into armor. At that time, the number of ice-armored knights was at least several times more than now. But now, they don't have that time anymore. Haisa watched as Xiaowen was approaching the Shui tent at an extremely slow speed. He forced himself to calm down. He looked ahead with a gloomy expression. His hands were clenched into fists, and his sharp nails had pierced his palms. A little bit of blood spilled from his hands and fell to the ground. Haisa turned his head, staring at Egu, who also looked ugly on the side. He asked in a deep voice, "How long will it take for the water elemental spirit to descend here?" Hearing the king's question, Egu smiled bitterly on his face, shook his head and said, "Your Majesty, a signal has been released, and the spirit of the water element should also chase in the direction of the smell we have left. But because the time was so tight, I thought it will take at least 3 days for the water elemental spirit to reach here." As soon as Egu's voice fell, Haisa cursed angrily, "Waste. It's all waste. You're spies. Can't you even detect the intelligence of the entire legion? There is no news at all, so they actually let them attack so quietly." Listen to Haisa's roar. An old man beside him with a dead face said with a wry smile, "Your Majesty, the Dawning Legion is not ready to assemble at all, and directly let the vanguard knights ride the war horse. They arrived here before the news came. The speed was so fast that we couldn't react effectively at all." Caesar took a deep breath and forcibly stopped the anger in his heart. After thinking for a moment in his heart, his eyes flickered, and he turned back sharply. Looking at the 3 men in black beside him, he said directly, "Remove the royal guards, turn all the soldiers in the other armies into undead, go and stop them for me." In the astonished eyes of the surrounding ministers and generals, the black-robed man in the middle, a hoarse laugh came out of his mouth. "As you wish, my Majesty the King." Saying that, the black-robed man turned his head to look at the place where Xiaowen was fighting. With temptation in his mouth, he asked again, "These knights, do you need to become a living dead? If they become living dead, their combat effectiveness will be strengthened by another level. Maybe. Can you leave Xiaowen here?" Listening to the black-robed man's words, the corners of Heise's mouth twitched a few times. Those nights, but his strongest and most loyal power. But soon, he still gritted his teeth and nodded in agreement, and said fiercely, "Go, go now." Someone around suddenly reacted, exclaimed, trying to speak out to stop the opposition. He was severely shocked by Heise's cannibalistic eyes. He looked at everyone and said word by word, "Whoever dares to block my decision, then you will also become a living dead." Saying that, Heise turned around directly, stepping onto a war horse, under the protection of the royal guard, evacuated directly from this dangerous place. It only takes 3 days to hold Xiaowen. The spirit of the water element can find the breath they left behind and rush here. When the time comes, it will be life or death. Not really. Best, it would be perfect to watch Xiaowen die. The other side, Xiaowen, who was fighting and feeling happy. Yu Guang suddenly saw the king's group in front of him. I actually turned around and left. It seems that he is preparing to escape from here first. Xiaowen was a little anxious in his heart. In case the king is besieging him by these nights, go organize and lead the army. If you defeat the Dawning Legion, then there is no point in everything, although a cutting-edge division of combat power is contained by him. But who knows if there will be any surprises? Xiaowen didn't think about it for too long in his heart, because after 10 minutes, he suddenly discovered a serious problem. That's the problem. Those ice armor heavy riders who had already been killed by him. I actually joined the battle again. Not only that, just now, I could see the soldiers in the barracks fleeing wildly. But now, all around are full of living dead soldiers, and there are few normal humans to see. An incredible thought arose in Xiaowen's heart. Could it be? Is the king so ruthless that he turned all the soldiers in the barracks into living dead? Xiaowen began to feel that the pressure on his body was gradually increasing. Those who were killed by him were not only joined the fight, its strength and resilience are also stronger than just now. Episode 63. Xiaowen at this time. It has been completely surrounded by a circle of human flesh. The shrinking space is like a zombie siege, and the sense of depression is extremely heavy. Xiaowen began to struggle a little. Just now I was able to be distracted to observe the king's movements. Now he is beginning to focus his mind on his eyes. Struggling to cope with these ice-armored heavy horses who turned into the living dead. Time passes slowly. Gradually, Xiaowen also hit the real fire. His eyes began to turn red. The fire elemental magic in the body began to expand more and more, and finally completely burst out. The temperature of the surrounding air gradually became hot. The cloud wings in the sky also gradually took on a bright red color. The battle continues under your feet. Only this time, the killing will last a long time. 3 days later, when Charvan led the members of the order, after turning the last undead to ashes, this war is completely over. The next thing you need to do is find the king and cut off his head. The kingdom of Hegren can once again return to its former calm. 3 full days down, the number of Dawning Legions has been reduced by nearly half. But the good thing is, they won the end. Xiaowen was deeply tired. Called to the birds of the sky, guided by them, stepping on a war horse without the slightest rest, chased in the direction of the king's escape. Xiaowen always had a sense of foreboding in his heart. It feels like a mortal enemy is constantly approaching you. Being in the shadows can cause you psychological discomfort. It's irritating. Xiaowen just wants to end this war early. In one fell swoop, it is better not to have extraneous things happen. Xiaowen, who was chasing quickly, was thinking about the follow-up, but he chased after him. I looked back a little in disbelief. Look in the extremely far direction in the sky. It always feels like something is getting closer. Xiaowen was a little irritable in his heart. Kick both feet, so that the speed of the war horse under the crotch is a few points faster. Time flies fast on horseback. What Xiaowen didn't expect was, King Heise did not go far. He mounted his war horse and chased after him for less than half a day. I saw the birds high in the sky ahead, already stuck in midair, no longer flying. What's the situation? He didn't actually escape? It's weird. Muttering, Xiaowen could already vaguely see the handsome tent stationed in front of him. When riding again less than 5 minutes later, Xiaowen had already come to this handsome tent and stood up. Although Xiaowen was very puzzled, but he looked at King Heise, who was tightly guarded by the escort, still said coldly, "You've already failed. Do you want to keep struggling?" In the crowd, Heise burst out laughing. He waved his hand. Let the soldiers around him protect him, get out of the way. Heise's body, also wearing ice crystal armor that can isolate the fire element, he stood up confidently, looking directly at Xiaowen, who was less than 10 meters ahead. With the ultimate madness in his eyes, he said with a big laugh, "No, I haven't lost yet. Xiaowen, your real enemy has arrived. If you can defeat even the gods, then why don't I admit defeat?" Between words, that feeling of extreme danger appeared behind Xiaowen again, the fiery flame in the sky that he brought up. Unconsciously, it returned to normal, and it should have been a clear sky. At this time, there were already some dark clouds. It was as if it was going to rain down at any moment. Listen to Haisara's maniacal words. Xiaowen seemed to have thought of something, and his heart jumped. He turned his head suddenly, his gaze condensed, and his pupils carried a blazing flame. Look far into the sky, covered with dark clouds. There seems to be a small transparent black dot. It's above the clouds, It's like a streamer, at great speed, keep approaching here. What the hell is that? Why does it feel so dangerous for me? At the moment of seeing the black spot, Xiaowen's heart suddenly produced a feeling of life and death enemies. He seems to be able to be on that black spot, feel an incomparably violent emotion, and as the distance between the other party continues to approach, this feeling has also become more profound. Xiaowen's gaze was solemn. The blood-stained black gold spear held in his hand trembled slightly. He has been fighting for 3 days without rest. I'm very tired now. If there is another big war, he may really not be able to carry it. But Xiaowen felt that even if he would die here in a while, wouldn't it be necessary to behead Heise's head first? While the streamer in the distance was not yet completely close, Xiaowen completely suppressed the throbbing feeling in his heart. Holding a black and gold spear, riding a war horse, turned around abruptly. Without warning, they entered the crowd, lose the support of the ice armor heavy horse and the top master. He was like a fierce tiger rushing into a flock. Start the killing raging. Episode 64. Heise protected by the royal guard. Seeing this scene, my feet couldn't help but soften. The pedaling one fell back a few steps, almost collapsed on the ground. The reason why he was waiting for Xiaowen here, it's because Heise knows the water elemental spirit is coming here soon. He wanted to see the scene of Xiaowen being tortured and killed with his own eyes. And Heise thought, Xiaowen will take advantage of this moment to adjust himself, wait for a battle with the water element, or keep the agreement he thinks he is an emperor. After defeating the water elemental spirit, come and kill him. But what he didn't expect was, Xiaowen actually does not talk about chivalry, so decisively killed in, regardless of the dangers behind you. Looking at Xiaowen, who was approaching quickly, Heise touched his ice crystal armor, as if seeking a sense of security. He swallowed a mouthful of spit, after realizing his miscalculation. Without any hesitation, turning around, he mounted his war horse on the side, ready to leave this dangerous place. Xiaowen in the rear looked at this big guy, and actually wanted to escape. The black and gold spear in his hand carried a blazing flame. Sweep around. After hitting a vacuum that emits a scorching smell, Xiaowen will have the few fire elemental power left on his body. It's all condensed in a spear. In a flash, a blazing red light bloomed on the black gold spear. On its surface, it suddenly brought a roaring flame. Xiaowen raised his hand and leaned back. Aim at Heise, who has fled on horseback. Like throwing a javelin, shoot straight at his neck. This one, Xiaowen used all the strength in his body. It was bound to shatter the ice crystal armor on Heise's body with one blow and pierce his head. Boom! With the sound of breaking the air, Heise, who fled on horseback ahead, not even having time to react, the slicing voice had already reached his ears. Instantly, it collided violently with the ice crystal armor on his neck. Poof! With the sound of the through the air, there are no surprises. Heise's head was blasted alive by Xiaowen's spear. His head exploded in the air. All kinds of disgusting things were spilled inside. Finally, the warhorse still struggled to escape ahead, and the man on horseback, but only a headless corpse remained. With the running of the warhorse, rolled to the ground. With the character of Heise, you may not be able to figure it out until you die. Why is the first reaction of people when they see danger? It's not about trying to deal with survival. Will you turn around and kill without hesitation? The other side, the moment Xiaowen saw the spear penetrating Heise's head, I didn't pay any more attention to this scene. Although this is the highlight moment he has always fantasized about, but now I don't have this mood. He turned his head, glancing at the royal guards, who suddenly froze all around. Ignoring them, looking up at the sky, brow furrowed, the black dot is getting closer. Xiaowen could already see it vaguely. It seemed to be a transparent creature, stepping on condensed water in the sky, sprinting in his direction. Xiaowen took a deep breath, raised his hand to condense a fire element, attract the black and gold spear in the distance. He held the black gold spear that still exuded a brilliant luster like magma. I want to wait for the other person to come in place. But what Xiaowen didn't know was that, the moment he turned around, in the crowd, there were 3 black-robed men looking at Heise's body. Some strange incantations were still whispering in his mouth. As the mantra was finished, the headless corpse in front of it suddenly twitched. Ben with a weak palm. I suddenly clenched it too. A moment later, Xiaowen had no mind at all, and then paid attention to others. After feeling this increasingly powerful oppressive force, he felt, if you just wait for the arrival of the other party, in terms of momentum it has already been defeated. Xiaowen took a deep breath, decided not to wait any longer, carrying a black and gold spear, ride a horse and quickly rush forward. It doesn't matter if he can beat it or not. In terms of momentum, you must not lose. That's it. The spirit of the water element is galloping at great speed in the sky, and Xiaowen was also riding a horse on the ground and approaching quickly. The two go in opposite directions. The distance between the two sides is also getting closer and closer. A great war between fire and water. It seems inevitable that it will also begin. Xiaowen has condensed his momentum to the extreme. Not yet at war. The furious fire elemental magic had already begun to burst out in his eyes. Looks like that. But he took the initiative to let himself gradually fell into a state of madness of dementia. Episode 65. When the distance between the two sides is getting closer, Xiaowen raised his eyes red as blood again, the brows furrowed deeper. In his eyes, something moving at high speed at great distance. It's no longer a little black dot. It's a horse with 4 hooves, crystal clear aquatic creatures. Just a glance, Xiaowen recognized it. This is the spirit of the water element. And what made him feel the most prickly? It's on this horseback. There is still a person sitting. Looks like that. It was the other party who was harnessing the spirit of the water element and quickly attacked Xiaowen. Xiaowen knew in his heart, if that person also possesses some incredible magic, that's really hopeless. This possibility is extremely great in Xiaowen's opinion, because his memory has long been restored. The moment he saw that creature, he knew that the other party was a water elemental spirit, and it should also be the spirit of the water element in a state of dementia and rage. Can control the spirit of the elements in the state of dementia. That man. How powerful it has to be to do it. Xiaowen's heart became heavier and heavier, a feeling of dying tragically. It's about to brew the moment of explosion. He suddenly, stunned for a moment, Xiaowen's eyes widened, because he could already vaguely see that he was sitting on the back of the water elemental spirit. It seems to be wearing an ice blue long dress. He has long silver white hair. Woman? And in Xiaowen's memory, a woman who can control the spirit of the water element. He really knew. Tragic emotions have not yet brewed. Xiaowen in his heart. Suddenly, there was a very strange feeling. As the water elemental spirit continued to approach Xiaowen, he could already gradually see the silhouette on horseback. She came on horseback, that noble and beautiful face, but it made Xiaowen feel an extremely familiar feeling, especially the other party's affectionate, water-like eyes, was staring at Xiaowen intently, as if trying to eat him in one bite. This kind of watery eyes to the extreme, Xiaowen couldn't help but snort. I don't know if it's cool or scared. With the matchmaking of various eccentric emotions, all of a sudden, it exploded in his body. He had hundreds of limbs all over his body. All of them were a little numb by this look. For a time, Xiaowen exuded various momentum. In front of this look, suddenly it was gone. That kind of bold ambition that you want to fight that and fight. Also at the moment when the identity of the other party is completely confirmed, thrown under the 5-finger mountain, Xiaowen stopped the running horses, looking at the sky that had quietly landed above him. The spirit of the water element who was slowly walking down from the clouds. His gaze was a little stunned. A noble woman on horseback. Her name, it's called Elsa. 5 years ago. Before you know it, it's been 5 years. The girl who used to be a little girl, now an adult, has become a peerless beauty who has fallen in love with the country. Really? Like a dream, Xiaowen muttered, and the spirit of the water element had already fallen to the ground. Elsa's icy and noble face, already full of soft, her eyes were rippling. The crystal light that looked at Xiaowen, it seems to cross time, bring all emotions together in it. The two looked at each other. It's all silent. Xiaowen stood in place without moving, but Elsa was carrying a long skirt and came in style. She came to Xiaowen's side, that seemingly calm face, but in the cold ice that unconsciously exudes the power of ice and snow, revealed the waves in her heart. Looking at each other, Xiaowen opened his mouth. When you want to say something, Elsa suddenly came up, with her cold red lips, fiercely imprinted. Xiaowen's voice was stuck in his throat. That thinks about talking, also under this crazy action, gone. In the end, Xiaowen could only use the same madness, use this response to tell the other person the same exciting thoughts in her heart as she did. A lot of times, there is a transition between active and passive, especially the girl made of water. In the courage at the beginning, under a long period of suffocation, it will eventually become a puddle of water, at the mercy of others. Xiaowen was experiencing this strange feeling in a crazy way. He suddenly recalled the journey at sea many years ago, that gnawing and biting in a dream. It seems to be compared to this time. Some are comparable. I don't know when it's over. Will it be bitten into a sausage mouth? Think about it. Xiaowen confirmed that dream. In his dream, he was rubbing a small fireball. Then there was the big fireball. Finally, there is the explosion of a nuclear bomb. Xiaowen stretched out his hand. I really experienced it in reality. Bursting sensation like poking a nuclear bomb. Honestly, not as wide as in the dream, but not bad. Especially looking at the other party's face that should be noble and cold. The kind of little woman posture that emerged. Ben's eyes were closed. It also slowly opened under Xiaowen's movements. That kind of eyes with spring water. Tired glanced at Xiaowen strangely, then slowly close. On that face that was born with the breath of a royal sister. I also brought pink red glow. Xiaowen felt. Pinch this face. I'm afraid I can really squeeze out water.